watch the real-life program about exceptional destinies, remarkable opportunities, and unbelievable facts right now.
You can see his autograph written in Arabic here. Daulet Craftsman is written here. He makes a habitual gesture and takes a tool. His father, grandfathers, and great-grandfathers did the same. He will process metal, leather, and wood, and finally a torsyk, where you can keep kumys, which is horse milk, and it'll be ready. He will make a trunk for a fiancé's dowry and a saddle ready to be used. He's an heir to the decorative and applied art and craftsman's clan. Daulet Shokparov is the keeper of a medieval craftsman's heritage. My father used the same materials which the craftsman had used before. They were natural materials including wood, leather, metals, and stone. Who lent a hand with the Museum of Applied Arts? He who works best knows his trade. What nose should a folks craftsman have? Everyone knows the Shokparov surname in Akshi village, situated in the Almaty region. There is even a street with this name. In addition, there's a museum named after his father, Daulet. The surname Shokparov speaks for itself. The craftsmanship can amaze people too. He knows everything about wood. Elms are used to make furniture and poplars are used for saddles. Beech is good for making guns. This is an adze, which is called shot in Kazakh. We work with wood. My father once told me that my grandfather had used this tool. Daulet Shokparov dedicated all his life to his craft. He went to remote villages where he groped for imperishable knowledge. He studied folk crafts and created things himself. You can see all these processes in the exhibits of the Museum of Applied Arts, which has over 2,000 items. In order to soften the leather, a roll was made and the leather was treated here. According to old craftsmen, my father restored this machine. Furniture is another direction. The lines are created by nature. A craftsman's hands only formed it, and it was a real masterpiece of folk skills.
И сейчас думаем сделать стульчик для детей.
Now we consider making a chair like this for children. My father made such a chair when I was a kid. I don't have it now and want to make a similar one. I remember it. It was empty here and he attached a veneer to the top of it and there was a little hole so that it was like a money box. I just remember it.
Маленькая дырочка, копилка. Он сделал копилку. Я помню просто.
His whole inheritance is in these workshops. His father used these tools and sat on this chair. His father said so. Now these things are the meaning of his son's life. You see, all these tools belong to my father. He used them all his life, preserved and left them for us. This is my father's work too. He did it for himself.
Работа моего отца, он для себя сделал.
He's a craftsman by vocation and museum director by profession. He enjoys demonstrating what is being worked on in his workshop now. This is kulsat, which is antique Kazakh crockery. Women used to pound grain such as corn and wheat in it, and then cook porridge. Zhent is a traditional dish.
Видите, ручка очень удобная.
You can see that the handle is very easy to use. Yes, it's easy to use and also weighs at least 3 kilograms. Only a strong woman could handle this thing. Daulet explains that the qualities of wood should match the owner's skills.
Очень крепкое дерево.
Elms are very strong trees. If you use it carefully and don't leave it outside in the rain, you can use it for 200, 300 or 500 years. There are some kinds of antique crockery in our museum.
Такие посуды.
The craftsman says that it takes over half a year to make this item of crockery. Most important is to dry the wood correctly. They take a whole trunk and remove the inner part so that it had the needed depth and thickness.
Торцы.
We put glue, plasticine or another material on the ends so that it could dry more or less slowly and not crack.
Более-менее будет сушиться медленно и не будет трескаться.
In the old days, they used clay or clay mixed with manure. Nothing was wasted, especially nomads never wasted anything.
Сейчас мы не пользуемся навозом.
We don't use manure now, but apply ordinary PVA glue instead. However, it isn't natural either, and small cracks appear.
Трещины.
Manure is a natural material. Its heat transfer properties are unique. They dried it and used it in winter as a fuel source to stoke a stove, which provided heat and cook food. Rotted cow manure is used as fertilizer. Incidentally, horse manure provides so much heat that having scattered it on the soil, you can use it to heat greenhouses.
Это вот посуда называется кубе на казахском.
Previously, this crockery was called kudi. It was used to make kumys, which is horse milk. Horses are milked and then the milk is poured here. It's kept in this container for a long time and shaken up when it's ready.
Как бы взбалтывает время от времени.
To retain its moisture, the wood is rubbed with animal fat or vegetable oil. The craftsman says that this process is necessary. The fat or oil will fill up all the cracks and prevent a possible leakage. They had to wash such crockery once every 10 days.
Чтобы там бактерии
It is necessary to smoke it to destroy bacteria.
его коптят.
Fire is not a problem. However, direct sunlight is really harmful to wood because it will dry and crack. He who works best knows his trade. He made about 20 such gun stocks. All of them are in museums and private collections. Daulet is not a hunter. He only knows what to do to make a stick fire.
Это фитильное ружье. Сейчас готовится. Это вот это дерево называется он бук.
This is a matchlock gun, and this is beechwood. Previously, such guns were in demand. We carved a national pattern here so that it looked like a national kind of gun. Previously, guns were loaded from here. This hole was closed. These gun pipes were molded manually. The gunpowder was put here and was filled up with metal objects. The fuse was here. They ignited it from here and went hunting.
Дырочка для фитиля. И отсюда разжигался огонь, и охотились такими ружьями. Ходили на охоту.
There's a furnace, anvils and hammers in the forge. He inherited all these tools. The anvil is especially precious and heavy. It's the only thing he inherited from his great-grandfather. It remained because it was too heavy. It's impossible for one person to lift it. Of course, it weighs about 200 kilograms.
Килограммов 200 есть, наверное.
The surface is as smooth as a mirror. Daulet shows which hammer is used for planishing. It's the one called a planishing hammer. The other one is used for hammering. It's a wood workshop. Daulet calls it dusty. The craftsmen say when he has orders, he can't even sit down during the day. My father made such a little chair for himself so that he could sit down on it in the workshop. It's very comfortable. A whole team of craftsmen help Daulet stay in the saddle as the keeper of traditions. Some of them work with metals, some with leather, and some with wood. This choice depends on what their soul desires and what they're used to work with. This is another antique, which is a saddle. Although it should join the other museum exhibits, it still serves as an example. A year ago, it was gathering dust in a neighbor's shed. A saddle has its own place in a yurt. It is put in an important place, which means that there is a man in the house. When they stopped in the steppe at a night, it was used as a pillow.
Такой вид седла, он характерен восточному Казахстану.
This kind of saddle is typical of eastern Kazakhstan. Craftsmen from eastern Kazakhstan made the front of a saddle beautiful by applying metal patterns to it. We are restoring this kind of saddle.
Такой красивый, и здесь наносились какие-то узоры металлические, видите? И вот мы как бы восстанавливаем такой вид седла.
However, now they make it of poplar. The saddle is from a region where high trees don't grow. The craftsman says that it is kind of sewed of a few parts. Judging by the pattern, it must have belonged to a woman. It was necessary to prepare a dowry for a young girl. It included a saddle, a set of utensils, a trunk, and women's jewelry.
Сундук и женские ювелирные украшения. Если этот седло сделан для женщины,
if a saddle was made for a woman or girl, they tried to decorate it richly with metal and gems.
Очень богатыми металлами и богатыми камнями.
Daulet says that the leather was decomposed and the wood has cracked. It is obvious that nobody has sat in it for over a century.
Видите, здесь
You can see that the stirrups and leather are attached here, and we can see that it's worn out. Judging by these signs, we can say that it hasn't been used for a long time and was made a long time ago.
можно узнать, что это очень давно сделано и давно применялся.
Daulet literally explains in layperson's terms that thousands of years ago, work on saddles was not based on guesswork.
Вот эта передняя часть,
The Kazakh craftsmen called the front snok siyem, while the back was siyem. The back must be bir siyem. It's the epitome of saddles. You can see that all saddles are made in this way.
и это канон седел. Это все седла делаются вот так вот, видите?
The saddle is made correctly if its lower part doesn't touch the horse. It turns out that there is a certain way to check it.
Приподносили его к лицу, и если вот сюда нос не задевает, вот так.
They brought a saddle nearer their face. You can see that if a saddle doesn't touch your nose, it's a good saddle. Only this is based on guesswork. If a person is larger, only this part is increased.
Если человек покрупнее размером, вот эта часть только увеличивается, или вот эта часть.
There are about 10 saddles in the museum. Of course, all of them are steeped in history. However, it's quiet here today. You can almost hear voices exclaiming, "How did our ancestors do it?" Daulet Shokparov knows and can do it too.